Are you a young, ambitious entrepreneur eager to learn more about the world of business? Then you got to check out Business with Matt Sierra, a YouTube channel hosted by an ambitious entrepreneur who speaks 7 languages and has founded multi-million-dollar companies. Come join him on a ride in his Rolls Royce as he speaks with successful entrepreneurs from all across the country in his show, Experts in the Rolls Royce. Or get an insight into the secret ideas of business and how to build profitable companies as he shares his knowledge with you in the program Business 2.0. New videos every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. So come meet entrepreneurs like yourself and follow him on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in. We've been watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial all day. It is still going on as we speak here, and we are monitoring it. But it was a pretty big day, and Kyle Rittenhouse took the stand, and that was like a shock. I was
very
like, what's
compelling.
going on?
We were shocked, like everybody, even the commentators on Court TV where we're watching it, were very surprised that he took the stand to testify, because I think it's something lawyers try to get their clients to not do. I think overall, generally, it's something they usually say not a good idea.
And when they called him to the stand and he went up there, I was very concerned because things have been going very well in this trial for the defense.
True.
This prosecutor, they have no case against Kyle Rittenhouse. One of their witnesses for the prosecution that was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse said it was self-defense. Another witness for the prosecution got up there and talked about how the prosecution tried to get them to change their testimony and I'm like, well, things are going so well. Why bring Kyle Rittenhouse up? And then he testified, and wow. I mean, he's amazing. Of course, he did very well when he was questioned by his own legal team. Mm-hmm. But he's being questioned still right now by the prosecutor. He's doing very well with the prosecutor. And he went through each of the incidents with the prosecutor and his own defense team. But by the time they both have questioned him, you get the whole thing. And this prosecution should not even be going on. When you see the evidence, you see the video, you get the context from the witnesses and Kyle Rittenhouse's story, he should not have even been charged with any crime whatsoever. The first guy he shot came after him, said, kill him. And
he made verbal threats to harm him.
And then put his hand on the barrel of the AR-15 to try to take it from him, and that's a threatening situation.
Yeah, he said he had his hands on the barrel of his gun, and that's when he shot him.
The second guy, same thing. They're coming after him, talking about killing him. He got the skateboard and everything as a weapon, hit him with a skateboard. He shot him, and he still both times tried to turn himself into the police. And the third guy came after him with the Glock. We know that. He even testified to that, the one he shot in the arm that survived. And
I'm going to say
This trial may be the last trial we get like this. This judge, his phone went off today. His phone rang, and it was Lee Greenwood's "Proud to be an American."
Kyle got very lucky with this judge.
Is the judge's ringtone. Yeah. So, and he's 70 at least, maybe 70-something. I don't know how old the judge is. This era of judge is on the way out. The next level of judges, the next generation of judges are soy boys, snowflake, skinny pants wearing millennials. And we may never again, in a high profile case, see a judge that is really not concerned about being a social justice warrior, but about the law. And this judge is a very, very, very good judge. And
Kyle got a very good judge. He really got lucky with this judge. I'm sure when his lawyers heard it, they're like, oh my gosh, you are like, because the judge, the way I take it is the judge is trying to really protect Kyle. And when he was getting ready to testify, I feel like he was almost trying to talk him out of it a little bit, like you're aware of this and you're aware of that. And then when he started testifying, I really felt like he was in his corner and protecting his rights. and that's good. But I will say this about Kyle. I have changed my mind with him because when I first formed an opinion on this, I still say he should not have been there. He's too young,
but he was.
But he was, and so were the other guys. So let me make that disclaimer. I still feel as a 17-year-old, he had no place being in that place with a gun because look what's happened to him now. He's risking, he could possibly go to jail for the rest of his life. And that's not worth taking that kind of chance. But when you're young, you do things that are impulsive. You don't make the best decisions. And I don't feel whenever there's a murder case, you always talk to the intent. And the prosecutor is trying to make the case that Kyle had an intent to harm, which he did not clearly have the intent. He had the intent to help. I'm not sure why he felt the need to carry a gun, if he felt threatened, maybe. But I don't think he went there with the intent to hurt anybody. I don't think any of us believe that. I do feel now that he was acting in self-defense, which I did not think before.
In all three instances.
And after seeing new pictures and you know what,
you're not alone. The reason you think you thought that is because the media and the prosecution covered up evidence because they wanted to prejudice the jury pool before they even had a jury.
Right.
And I'll tell you, when Kyle Rittenhouse testified today, he really was there to help. And there's so many things about this story that have been totally proven in court this week false. He did not cross state lines with a gun.
People keep saying that,
People say that still today. He did not cross state lines.
No.
He did not illegally possess the gun. He broke no handgun laws. I was talking...
And also his father and his family live in Kenosha. And he had spent time in Kenosha living there. His parents are divorced. And I did not know he had family in that town. Because my first whole thing was, well, why was he even there? He doesn't know anybody.
He's got a connection.
He does have a connection. His family lives there. His dad and his grandmother and aunts and uncles, they live in Kenosha. And his friend was asked to protect this auto dealership. Mm-hmm. And he knew Kyle and he asked him to help. So that was the reason he was there.
Well, yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about the gun, okay? One, that he crossed state line, not true. Two, that he illegally obtained the gun and was illegally possessing a gun. That was filleted by Kyle. The prosecutor went after Rittenhouse today with that. Yeah. He gave money to a friend to buy the gun, but it's not a straw purchase because he never had possession. Yeah, I was talking to someone today about this. To own a rifle, to own a long gun in the United States, you have to be 18. To own a handgun, you have to be 21.
Right.
But it is not illegal for someone underage to possess a rifle or use a rifle. And I've talked about this before. I had my first rifle when I was 12, a 410 shotgun that my dad and grandfather gave me. Went hunting with it. They weren't breaking the law. I didn't own the gun. They owned the gun. You can't buy the guns. And
Kyle clearly knows his gun laws because he really made the prosecutor look like an idiot when they were talking about that.
Oh, yeah. So they don't even have gun charges. The only charge they might have against Kyle, and I'm serious about this, I'm not kidding, that he broke curfew. They may have him on the curfew thing, but what's that? Everyone's breaking curfew. Was that a ticket?
The one guy that put the Glock on in his head, near his head, the guy that survived, he was not supposed to have a gun. He was a convicted felon. You had told me. So he broke the law by having a gun, and Kyle did not. So you're right. There was a lot of misinformation in the press. Shocker. And, some people had said in the Marco that, they don't like to comment before they get the facts. And I agree with that. But when you have a podcast, you do have to talk about things and go with what you know at the time. And I have no problem admitting that I've changed my mind or that I was mistaken. I have no problem with that at all. So I will say that I misjudged him based on what I had seen. I still think he should not have been there, but he was. So were all the other Antifa people. They were there too. No, but none of those people should have been there, but they were. So putting that aside, dealing with the issue at hand, I feel this prosecutor is not very good, but I don't know how I feel about Kyle testifying. When he first did it, I said to you, that is a huge mistake. He was good, and then he broke down and started getting upset, and that was very compelling. But when you testify, you do great when your own lawyers question you. But when you open yourself up to that, the prosecution can question you for as long as they want, and they start confusing you. What they want to do is destroy your credibility. So they might get you on one little thing that you misspoke, or, well, you said this and now you're saying that. And why did you say this when before you said this? They want to destroy your credibility on the stand, and they can confuse you, especially a kid. So when he's on the stand, now luckily he has good lawyers and a good judge, but you open yourself up to that kind of confusion, and that's concerns me.
Well, he's handled himself well, Kyle
so far
Rittenhouse.
He has, yeah.
And when he first went up there, I thought he's crazy to go up there and testify. And I know the prosecutor's been very bad this week, but he's still an 18-year-old kid, and he embarrassed on more than one occasion the prosecutor. Now, the prosecutor I've never seen this before. I've never seen an attorney in a courtroom get in verbal arguments with the judge.
That was crazy.
And this prosecutor on a couple occasions was arguing with the judge. And this prosecutor, I guess he looks like he's a millennial type guy. I don't know. He might be older. But he's a very condescending, snarky guy.
He's very condescending the way he talks.
Not very likable.
I don't like it.
And I'm wondering this, okay? They have no case against Kyle Rittenhouse. He should not have even been charged.
Their case is very weak.
And what I'm wondering is, the prosecutor's there. Did the prosecutor know? I'm not talking about the guy in the courtroom, the chief prosecutor, the guy that runs the office. Did they know they didn't have much of a case, but felt politically they had to prosecute him and put this guy on the case? Because he is the most unlikable courtroom prosecutor I've ever seen. And I imagine this prosecutor isn't liked by the people he even works with. He's a very condescending, snarky, unlikable man.
Well, he seems more concerned with his image.
With the Star Wars,
with his hair, his fancy hair and his fancy clothes and his pins than anything. He's on TV. He probably went out and bought a bunch of new suits and stuff and went and got his hair done. He seems a little more concerned with that, but I agree with you. He comes across very condescending, and he's clearly very disrespectful to the court. Right away, he went into questioning. I thought this was very strange. I've never seen a lawyer do this, and this is what he got in trouble for. One of the things. He started questioning Kyle on not speaking and then speaking, changing his mind. He said, well, before you didn't want to testify and now you do. And then the judge said, well, that's his right as an American.
Well, the judge sent the jury out of the courtroom.
He said he has a right to be silent. He has a right to talk. It's his decision. That's not on trial here. That was crazy.
The prosecutor was bringing up on the stand that he wouldn't talk to the cops when he was arrested.
Which is your right as an American. Yeah. And that is not something that should be prosecuted or be on trial, because that is your right. It's in the Miranda rights. So he was bringing that up right away, and the judge said, that's not even an issue. Don't even go there.
And I think that applies there. No one should talk to the cops without an attorney present.
I agree.
No
matter what.
Especially innocent people, because they get you jammed up. That's how they got
a lot of innocent people go to jail.
The guy perjury traps and stuff.
Yeah, and a guy I just read last week got released after 17 years, wrongfully convicted. It happens all the time.
Yeah, never talk to the police. But I got to tell you, this trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, if it goes well and he's acquitted, they get him on breaking curfew or something. But if he gets acquitted, this could be the beginning of the end of Antifa taking to the streets of America and having their way. Because, this city was under attack by these anarchists.
Right.
And people's small businesses that had people like Kyle Rittenhouse and others watching their business, people don't understand. Small business owners, that's like their home. That's like if they're coming on your street and attacking your own house. They have, not only is that how they make their living, they have everything they own in these businesses.
Well, and I think a lot of people might be watching this because you're seeing the face of Antifa here. And a lot of people like me might be saying, well, why the hell aren't they on trial? I mean, they were there. They had guns. The one guy had a gun illegally. Why is Kyle on trial? Because he was defending himself.
Yeah.
These guys were burning down cities, destroying property, and nobody got prosecuted over this. They're not being held accountable for their behavior too. It seems very one-sided.
Now, Mike Lindell, the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow. Kathy and I sleep on the MyPillow. We have the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets. We have the MyPillow mattress topper. We have 2 of the MyPillow pet beds. We have the MyPillow towels. We have the MyPillow My Slippers. This is a MyPillow home. And those of you out there that are MAGA, those of you out there that support President Trump, there is no better way than supporting Mike Lindell and his fight against cancel culture. They're going after him personally. They're going after his business. He's being sued, as is MyPillow, for over $1 billion. And Mike Lindell needs you. And I'll tell you, this is something new to consider. That's
a lot of pillows.
Yeah.
$1 billion. That's a lot of pillows.
And mattress toppers.
Oh, my goodness.
There's another thing to consider, too. This, and I'm serious about this. I want you to think about this now. A lot of you out there have friends and family that aren't MAGA. You have friends and family that are Democrats. You have friends and family that don't like President Trump. And that transfers to Mike Lindell for some reason. Think about this. This is a great idea. Now, it's the holiday season. And I don't say holiday in the taking Christ out of Christmas thing like the liberals do. There's a lot of holidays, right? We got Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas. We've got Hanukkah. We've got New Year's. So it's the holiday season. I don't take Christ out of Christmas. But the thing, this is something to think about. Your Democrat, Trump-hating family members, get them a MyPillow mattress topper. You'll convert them. They'll
I love that idea.
When they have a MyPillow under their head at night and they have a MyPillow mattress topper under their body, they will gain an appreciation for Mike Lindell that you will not believe if they have their mattress topper, if they have their MyPillow, if they have their 100% Giza cotton dream sheets and the MyPillow towels. Now, we have our very own MyPillow website page. I have the link in the description of this episode, mypillow.com/Kane. And when you go there, you're going to see incredibly low deals that are the lowest deals you'll find anywhere on MyPillow products. 50% off the MyPillow My Slippers with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. 50% off the MyPillow mattress topper. Kathy and I sleep on that every night. It's spectacular. And there's many other great specials there too. The link is in the description. Our promo code is Kane, Kane. Go there right now and start shopping. We'll be right back.
Are you interested in nature photography? Are you looking for hopeful messages and positive words? Then the book from author Alex G. Zarate, Zarate Zen, available on Amazon, is perfect for you. This book is uniquely designed to provide you with encouraging words and truly remarkable images captured over the years. It's both a photography book and a book bursting with positive words and daily affirmations. Author and photographer Alex G. Zarate is a landscape and nature photographer who's been posting online for years. Zarate Zen is perfectly crafted and filled with beautiful images and words which will uplift and motivate readers. Whether you're interested in nature photography or seeking a positive outlook for the world or know someone who is, Zarate Zen is perfect for you. It also makes a great gift. Zarate Zen from author and photographer Alex G. Zarate, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. Order your copy right now. There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist, Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now. Beautiful jewelry says so much about you. It says you have good taste and enjoy nice things, that you appreciate beauty as well as the world around you. The Ocean Rhyme Shop on Etsy, online at oceanrhyme.etsy.com, carry handcrafted Baruch pearl jewelry that's stunning and unique, just like you. They make gorgeous pearl pieces like earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and a whole lot more. Everything at oceanrhyme.etsy.com is lovely and sparkly, perfect for yourself or someone you care about as a gift. Our Artist Julia creates the most stunning pearl pieces. You will love the jewelry you buy from oceanrhyme.etsy.com. Each piece is made with care and is very special. Whether you want black pearls, golden South Sea pearls, Tahitian pearls, or freshwater pearls, you will find it at oceanrhyme.etsy.com. They have a wide variety to choose from. Before you shop for jewelry or gifts anywhere else, be sure to visit oceanrhyme.etsy.com. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can discover the shop too. oceanrhyme.etsy.com. oceanrhyme.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy.
Well, before you get into another story, the one thing we did forget to mention is that what happened today, about an hour ago, is that the defense is seeking a mistrial during the trial. And it says here, Kyle Rittenhouse's defense attorney said Wednesday that they will file for a mistrial with prejudice, citing constitutional violations and misconduct. This goes to when he was asking about him not speaking to the police. The judge got very upset because he said that is his constitutional right. And for you to bring that up and question him as if that is on trial, he said that is very shocking. And the commentators on Court TV were very shocked. They said they've never heard a lawyer do that. And they said that's a big no-no. Well, they're declaring a mistrial. But you said with prejudice, if they do it with prejudice, they said it's a constitutional violation for you to talk about the defendant's silence.
What happens with the judge hasn't ruled on this yet. He's still considering it.
He's going to think about it.
Yeah, he's letting the trial go on while he considers it and looks into it. And if the prosecutor acts up again, with prejudice, it means that they won't be able to come back at him with charges. If they just dismiss it, the prosecutor could come back for a new trial. If he dismisses with prejudice, they won't be able to come back with a new trial.
I think the judge is going to do that.
But you know what? This is the thing. With this left-wing attorney general we have, he may come after Kyle Rittenhouse on domestic terrorism charges and go this federal. You know, in the Rodney King case, it's been a long time. People forget about a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And Republicans, many of you that are conservative might find this shocking to learn. But okay, so in the original trial in Los Angeles, the Rodney King cops were acquitted. They later went to prison because President Bush 41 brought federal charges against, had the Justice Department look into it, and they brought federal charges against the Rodney King cops.
Right.
And tried and convicted them in the federal court. And I don't agree with doing that at all. That to me, that seems like a way around double jeopardy. And I because you can only be tried and you're acquitted. That's it.
I agree. But Antifa can go around and terrorize cities for months and months and nobody gets prosecuted for being a domestic terrorist from them.
No.
No, I'm saying it's a double standard.
What I'm saying is, no one from Antifa has been charged with anything.
No.
What I'm saying is that this liberal attorney general that calls parents domestic terrorists might pursue federal charges on Kyle Rittenhouse if the judge dismisses with prejudice this case. They are very capable of doing that. So,
I don't know. I was kind of surprised they called for a mistrial because that could happen. And also, they have a very friendly judge right now. I don't know if you have a mistrial. No, okay, so if you said if they have a mistrial with prejudice, then it no longer can be prosecuted like on the state level. So if it goes to federal, what kind of a judge is he going to get if he gets a Trump judge?
An Obama judge?
But what if he gets an Obama judge? They have a very friendly judge right now, and the prosecution has had a lot of problems with their own witnesses. So I don't know if a mistrial is a good idea. I think he's either going to get acquitted or a hung jury. I don't think he'll be convicted. There have got to be some people on that jury that agree with the judge and that are very, on his side.
You just never know with juries.
But you never know.
Never know.
But that's my prediction: acquittal or a hung jury.
This thing about juries, because it's been a long time since we've had a high profile trial. Well, I guess Casey Anthony was like 10 years ago. George Zimmerman was about the same. We used to have high profile trials like 1 or 2 a year, and we haven't had as many in the last few years because politics has dominated the news so much. Although this trial is very political, Kyle Rittenhouse is a political show trial that's going on by the left, and the anarchists. But, the thing about juries, though, I've watched many, many high-profile televised trials, and sometimes the juries, they have press conferences and do interviews. And when they're talking, the jury, things that interest them and concern them about the trial are things that I didn't even catch.
That's true. When they interview them after.
The jurors' minds seem to be on things that nobody's talking about in the news or the legal pundits, so you never know.
And you know what also is scary with the jury? Like when they interview the Derek Chauvin ones, sometimes it's just one thing that changes their mind. One little thing. That's how precipitous it is, where everything could be going great. And that's why I worry about Kyle testifying. Like Derek Chauvin was also testified. He was questioned. You could say one thing that upsets the jury and incriminates yourself, not even knowingly doing it. And they said with Derek Chauvin, what really sold it for them to prosecute him was that when George Floyd wasn't responding, that he didn't help, that he just stood there and didn't help him. And they said that was the one thing. It wasn't that he was on the neck. It was that he didn't help him. And I worry with Kyle, it could be just one little thing. And that's kind of scared me with the jury, and they flip. They could be all for it. And then all of a sudden, no, he did that, and right. I don't like that.
Well, Derek Chauvin with George Floyd, he knew he was dead for a long time, and he stood there, I think, because he was afraid it would cause a riot. And when the paramedics came, they acted as if George Floyd was being treated. They knew he was gone.
Yeah, it was a cover-up.
It wasn't a cover-up. The paramedics, I believe, acted as if he was alive, and they were treating him, and he could could survive because they were afraid of violence breaking out right there on the street. That's why they did that, and I think that's fair. Now, also, when right in the beginning of his testimony, Kyle Rittenhouse, he broke down when he was telling the story, and that was the most real thing I've ever seen from a witness. Sometimes you get these witnesses up there that are on trial, and they have they pretend to cry, and there's no tears, they're not upset. Kyle Rittenhouse had a breakdown. He's suffering from PTSD.
He had a breakdown. He turned.
That was very real.
A lot of liberals are saying he faked.
No.
He completely turned red, and it happened so quickly. There's no way some kid could just fake that kind of a moment.
No way.
He completely broke down. His voice started to crack, and then he started shaking, and he started hyperventilating. It all kind of happened how those things occur. And they talked about on the court TV, what happened is it's like all the pressure, he's been holding it in, it just came out. And that's how I felt. Like it's just like the pressure just got to him. And he finally, after holding it together, holding it in, the emotions overtook him. And I started to cry, because I'm a mother, and I don't have a son, but I have a daughter. But when you're a parent, and I'm sure there's a lot of parents on the jury, you see he was only 17 when this happened. He was a minor. And you see this kid breaking down and shaking and so upset. It gets to, unless you're like, have no heart at all, it does get to you.
Yeah. Well, I believe Kyle Rittenhouse in his testimony today.
He's credible.
And when he went through what he does, like he's a police explorer, paramedic explorer, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, and I've known a lot of guys like this. When I was in high school and middle school, they were always the police explorers, the fire department explorers. They always want to be out there and help and everything else.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's the kind of guy. Now he's in nursing school. I think he's got that personality where he really feels a need to help. And you can compare with why was Antifa there? What was their motivation to be there? Their motivation to be there was to destroy. Kyle's motivation was to give aid. And that would be it for me as a juror. It's unfortunate what happened. It was kind of a perfect storm of young kids. Probably all of them should not have been there in the first place, but they were. But my thing would be look to the motivation. Why was Antifa there? And why was Kyle there? And there's a huge difference between those two.
And if Kyle Rittenhouse, he shot 3 people, killed 2, they were all white. If one or all of them were African American and he's white, it'd be a whole other conversation right now. He'd be in big trouble. I mean, he'd be in big trouble.
I agree.
And there's 2 trials going on right now. And this one, the Rittenhouse trial, is getting all the publicity. The other one's that Aubrey trial.
Yes.
And I was talking to a caller today on the radio about this, and he just couldn't understand. Court TV is very liberal. People don't realize that. It's very They're very woke over there, which is unfortunate. They never used to be that way, but they're very woke. And until today, live, they've been carrying the Aubrey trial, which no one's very interested in. And this one they're interested in. And I got a call today, a black caller, and he thinks, well, that's racism. People want. The Aubrey trial is more open and shut. This case is filled with drama. There are things that we're learning. One of the people that was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse said he shot him in self-defense. I mean, you got a prosecution guy who was shot by Rittenhouse. You got a judge who says that the people that were shot, including the two that died, are not to be referred to as victims. So you've got curiosity, you've got an unknown, you've got drama.
It's an interesting juxtaposition when you have the two. You have the one case where you have one kid with three guys that he shot. And then with the Aubrey, it's three guys attacking one kid. So it's very different.
I don't know how old Aubrey was.
And I'm assuming he was in his 20s. I don't exactly know what happened. I did see some video.
The Aubrey case, yeah.
Yeah, and to me it looked like he was ambushed by these guys that had no business bothering him. He was just jogging, but then somebody said he was on somebody's property.
Yeah.
They thought he was robbing them. So I'm not sure. Again, I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to comment on it because I really don't know enough about that. But I can't really watch the trial of the Aubrey because they're not showing it. They're showing the...
Well, they were showing it until today.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Today, they were showing the Rittenhouse. Court TV was showing Aubrey all week because there's a racial component and they're woke. They weren't showing Rittenhouse live. They were showing it on their YouTube channel, Court TV.
Okay.
And today, because the defense started and everything, it's on TV. They were doing summaries in the afternoon on Rittenhouse. This is a very interesting trial, but it's still up in the air. You never know with these juries. I don't think charges should have been brought. I think he should be acquitted. And a lot of people have said from the beginning he should have been acquitted. When it comes to cases like this, I kind of wait until things settle down because the problem is the media react too quickly and things get conclusions are made within the first 15 minutes of a story becoming public, and you don't have any idea. And there's so much more context and evidence and video and things that have come out. You do have to talk. The news is happening. We always are talking about what's going on in the news. We don't wait for the news to be concluded to talk about it. We talk about old news.
When you have a podcast, you have to talk about it in real time with what you know.
But the media are left-wing wokesters with a narrative, and they enrage people. Like I remember,
if they're withholding video and withholding images, that's a problem.
I remember when the Boston bombing happened, and we were watching. There are two things about that one I remember. We were watching it on Fox. Now Shepard Smith was still on Fox, liberal guy. And, there was the explosion, and Shepard Smith was going on and on for like 2 hours that, in Boston, the electrical transformers are at the ground level.
Oh, that was so ridiculous.
Remember that?
Yes.
And then I remember when the FBI came out and had a press conference. They had not gotten the Zarate brothers yet. They sound like a trapeze team, right, at the circus? The Zarate brothers, but they're the Boston bombers.
Like what are those guys that walk across the tight ropes? Remember that family?
Yeah.
Can't think of
the Wallenses or something like
flying
that.
Wallenses or something.
The flying Wallenses. But the Zarate brothers, because when people realized, okay, it was a bomb, everyone was saying, oh, Islamic terrorism. And then the FBI, they had a press conference and they had a photograph from a street cam, which wasn't very good, and they looked white. And it was a black and white picture. And I remember the media.
They got all excited.
Were like high-fiving each other that it was like two white guys. Then we found out that they were white Muslims Russian from
Muslims.
Chechnya or something. And then, so, the media have these narratives.
Well, that was the time when they were really trying to protect that group of people, and they were really trying to hide any kind of action from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the media did that when Fort Hood happened, all right?
Yeah.
When
there was a whole thing going on around there.
When Major Nadal Hassan shot up Fort Hood, it took about 5 or 6 hours for the media to say his name, and they knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was taking so long. I remember I was on the phone with Steve Kane. I said, well, we know it was Islamic terrorism because it's been like 4 hours, and they won't tell us who did it yet. The media are in this narrative game when it comes to protected classes. If it's someone who's Muslim or black, they want to get a narrative. If it's someone who's white, they're immediately guilty.
I think
they craft the stories to make like Kyle Rittenhouse guilty from the instant it goes public.
Well, the media does that with everybody. That's what they do, and they have no soul.
They have no professional ethics at all.
No, none.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. By the way, in the comments, let us know what you think about this case. We'll take that break and be back right after this.
We all go through challenges in life. Try overcoming gigantic obstacles while only 4 feet tall. That can be pretty challenging, right? Author Felicia Osborne did just that and shares her story in her book, The Little Giant's 7 Keys to Overcome Life's Challenges, available on Amazon. Being born with a disability can limit your desire of dreaming big for yourself. Author Felicia Osborne has osteogenesis imperfecta, which is a genetic condition passed down that causes her bones to break easily. Even a sneeze can break her bones, but through it all, not much can break her spirit. She stopped growing at 4 feet. Powerlessness is what most would feel about themselves with this disability. But this limitation turned author Felicia Osborne into the little giant who would do amazing big things to help others become resilient without limits. The roadblocks you face that would normally hinder your success don't have to. In this must-read guide, she will share 7 ways that she overcame life's challenges. The Little Giant's 7 Keys to Overcoming Life's Challenges from author Felicia Osborne. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Cryptocurrency. It's what everyone's talking about because so many are looking for an alternative to physical currency. Godzilla Coin on Twitter at CoinGodzilla is leading a new community to a new DAO and NFT game. The whitelist and public sale will launch soon. Get your Godzilla coins before the God of Lizards makes its way back to the big screen to defend planet Earth once more. Find Godzilla Coin on Twitter at CoinGodzilla. That's CoinGodzilla on Twitter and become a part of the Godzilla Army. CoinGodzilla on Twitter. From author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs comes your next must-read book, Until Now, available on Amazon. Until Now is a book about the first 25 years of the author's life. It includes childhood trauma, abuse, and the author being forced to hide their true self, being abandoned, and many, many other things. The author's hope is to reach readers that can relate and let them know that they are not alone in their trauma. They are not at fault for the terrible things that's happened to them. They are not victims, but are survivors, and together we can get through anything. Author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs has been writing poetry since childhood, and Until Now includes the author's life story, but also includes related poetry between chapters. Until Now, from author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. John Kerry, they call him the climate envoy. He used to be Secretary of State and all this stuff. John Kerry, Joe Biden's climate envoy, whatever that is, that's climate czar, said there will be no coal in the United States by the end of the decade. He said this at this climate conference. The United States is the Saudi Arabia of coal. We have more coal than anyone. It powers... I don't know the percentage, but it powers almost all of the electrical plants in the United States, and they don't want us to have it. You know, not only are we the Saudi Arabia of coal, when President Trump was president, we were the number 1 producer of oil in the world, and now Biden's shutting it down. And you know, today the inflation numbers came out, and things are bad. Expensive. And there are a lot of factors that cause inflation, okay? But the biggest factor, I think, is the price of oil because everything is transported by gasoline. Mm-hmm. U.S. consumer prices soared 6.2% in the past year. That's the Biden economy, the most since 1990. Listen to this. American households have been struggling with accelerating inflation for months. This is in Politico, which is liberal. Politico is very left-wing. On Wednesday, the government spelled out just how much they have. Prices for U.S. consumers jumped 6.2% in October. In a month, that's a lot. Yeah. Compared with a year earlier, as surging costs for food, gas, and housing left families facing the highest inflation rate since 1990. And, what that does is it makes many people in this country are struggling because we had the shutdowns, and a lot of people lost a year of income. Unemployment and things like this don't get it. And the price of things have gone up, but their salaries have not. If they even have, not that much, not 6.2%. That's it. And if you're someone that has kids, I was watching on Twitter this morning. Someone was going through the prices of the groceries and how much they've gone up this year alone. I mean, the grocery store's gone up so much, and that's a struggle for a lot of families. And the problem is the people in the government are so rich and out of touch. Like Nancy Pelosi just bought a new house here in Florida. In Jupiter, Florida, which is where Don Jr. lives.
Very nice in Jupiter.
Yeah, Tiger Woods lives in Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah, that's like where my dream to live is in Jupiter, right on the water.
It is where the elite of the planet live.
If I win the lottery, we'll go there.
The lottery, we may not even be afforded if you win the lottery.
It's very nice. John Travolta lives there. It's nice.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds lived there. Oh, no, John Travolta lives in Ocala. Burt Reynolds was from Jupiter.
Joe Scarborough and Mika live in Jupiter.
Yeah, I mean, Jupiter's where it's at.
This is where the uber rich live. And when you're someone like Nancy Pelosi and these others in government, and they're so rich.
Tiger Woods.
If bacon cost another $2 or steak. I saw someone took a picture at the grocery store. They had 2 steaks, just regular steaks, and they were like $19 and something.
That's crazy.
I wrote on their Twitter, I said, is that Kobe beef? What is that? To them, the price of something going up a couple dollars is nothing.
I feel bad for these families. They've been doing a lot of stories on the local news about people that are the working homeless and how there's so many people that work, but they can't afford housing. South Florida, there's a lot of work here, but it's expensive. But I feel bad for these families. It's really difficult for them right now to get meat. And you want to be able to have your kids, it's important for your kids to have protein and eat meats like chicken and steak and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult right now. They said the price of meat is skyrocketing. What do you do if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have 3 or 4 kids? You can't even, but they don't care. Now I read that he's going to tackle it, whatever that means. And then somebody said he wants to shut down the other pipeline.
They're monitoring it, they're saying.
His energy secretary's a moron, okay? She's a complete moron like everybody else in his cabinet and Kamala. Everybody around him is stupid. He's stupid. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And, we're going to have to deal with this. But let me tell you, things are going to get so bad under Joe Biden. They will lose the House and the Senate next year. I can promise you that. And you're going to see a lot of these governorships flip too. And the whole country's going to turn red because he is such a boob.
Well, I would imagine if you went to the local grocery stores, if you live in a neighborhood where there's families with children, I bet you hot dog sales are going through the roof. They're probably booming.
Things like that.
That's what people do. They eat lower quality, not that hot dogs are low quality. I'm not a hot dog fan. Unless they're on a grill.
It's not but they a steak or something.
And that's Biden has said. Well, you just gotta lower your standards a little bit. He's not lowering.
They want you to lower your standards, lower your expectations. Well,
see,
God forbid they fix the freaking problem.
The price of oil, he shut down Anwar, shut down the pipelines. Talking about another one. The price of oil and gas affect everything because everything is powered by that. Everything is transported by that. So if the price of gasoline goes up, it costs more money to take things on the truck to the grocery store. Everything along the supply chain goes up. And the thing about the Biden administration, which I find unique from any other administration, regardless of their political party, is zero empathy for the American people. When you watch these press conferences with Psaki or this girl that's covering for Psaki because she's been out with the COVID, and they bring up these problems. Well, steak and hamburgers unaffordable, bacon.
They laugh it off.
They're like, oh, well,
Remember the energy secretary when the guy asked her about the price of gas and she literally laughed on television. Right.
Yes.
They mock you. They think it's a joke. They think that you being concerned about these things is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And laughable. I mean, Kamala laughs constantly laughing over God knows what. And these people think that your problems are funny. They probably sit around the dinner table laughing their asses off at us all the time.
When Bush 41 was president, the media went after him for being out of touch with reality. He went to a grocery store and they had the scanner at the grocery store.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he had never seen one before. And he was like amazed by it.
It was like 15-year-old technology or something.
At least.
Yeah.
And, look how out of touch, George Bush is.
Well,
George
he is.
Well, maybe a little bit, but, he's a guy who's head of the CIA, FBI, Vice President of the United States, President of the United States.
I guarantee you Trump knows how a grocery store conveyor belt works.
No, the UPC scanner.
Whatever. I'm sure Trump knows. He's with it. He knows all this stuff.
George Bush was out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
But the entire Biden administration are out of touch with reality.
That's right.
And typically, when even Democrats, when prices go up of basic necessities, food and gas are basic necessities because you need gas to get to work. Usually, they'll be concerned about it. This administration hate you. They hate me. They hate the American people.
They're mad at you for bothering them, even though they work for you. Their job, they're public servants. Public servants.
That's right.
That means they serve the public. We pay their salary. They go into this career voluntarily. Nobody's forcing them to run for political office.
They're bothered by us.
But they're bothered. And we're interrupting their vacations on the beach in the Hamptons.
That's correct. That's exactly right.
I mean, we're interrupting their fancy life, with problems that they don't want to deal with. And Pete Buttigieg actually saying that bridges are racist. That was the most absurd thing. I can't stand that guy. I can't stand him. The way he's constantly smiling when he talks, it just drives me insane. I don't understand what the appeal is from him, why the liberals love him, but there's nothing appealing to me about that guy. He constantly is condescending and rude, and he thinks he's better than everybody. I don't like him.
Well, he has the same advisors as, he is with the Kennedys. I've talked about that. So he's got, Carolyn Kennedy and her people. And he's also someone, I don't know who because I haven't been identified, but I can tell, I talked about this during the Democratic primary with Mayor Pete, and I still see it today. Someone that writes his speeches and his comments worked for Obama. Because he uses the same phrases and tone and pauses that Obama uses.
Yes.
So whoever is his speechwriter wrote speeches for Obama.
Well, and he models himself after Obama. That was funny.
Two do-nothings.
You guys should definitely watch Greg Kelly. He has the funniest show, and he is so good. He's got great producers.
On Newsmax.
Because he has great stuff. And he did a thing the other night where he played a speech that Obama just gave, and he commented on the number of pauses.
He timed the pauses.
And he timed him with a timer. And it was one of his pauses was like 11 seconds. And Greg Kelly had the stopwatch, and he was just cracking up. And he's like, he just gets it. He's like, this guy is arrogant. He thinks every sentence it should be pondered and thought upon. Yeah. And that's exactly how Obama is.
In one section of his speech, Obama, and Greg Kelly had a timer. His pauses equal the amount of time that he actually spoke. And the reason Obama pauses is for you to ponder the wisdom that he just uttered. I've known people like this in radio. Some talk radio guys are this way. You'll listen, they'll say something, and then there's like dead air, and you're supposed to ponder the brilliance that they just shared over the radio.
And he's in love with the sound of his own voice, which is what Greg Kelly
Obama
said.
does. Now listen, we're going to take a break. When we get back, Don Lemon is going after Megyn Kelly. Wait till you hear this. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Are you living the life that you and your family deserve? The book, The Power to Profit, Special Edition, from author Takia Diamond, available on Amazon, will teach you to master your wealth consciousness and accelerate your abundance so that you can access the power to profit. It's time to get past the struggle mentally and create wealthy habits that put you in alignment where abundance lives within your DNA. You have the ability to change it all, but you must understand it's an internal job. Although you may have made many attempts to figure out why money keeps its distance from you, hardships continue to disturb your happiness, plague your mind, and interfere with your daily life. The idea of money doesn't have to be fearful. It's time to know the truth about money and how to use it to generate more of it. If you feel stuck as to how to increase your bank account balance, the Power to Profit Special Edition will help you discover ways to make money while you sleep from passive income streams, get answers to your investment questions, and also teach you how to save. What are you waiting for? Take that first step right now and order your copy of The Power to Profit Special Edition from author Takia Diamond, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. From author Sherry Chapman comes the book, A Killer Revisited, available on Amazon. Detective Jules Polton is one of the best at tracking down murderers, but something beyond her experience came to Edmond, Oklahoma. When the serial killer reaches out in a cryptic letter, it reveals a government conspiracy at the highest level. Will she be able to stop an Army experiment gone rogue? Find out when you read A Killer Revisited. If you love thrillers, you will love this book. With a well-thought-out plot, lots of twists and turns, it will keep you engaged and captivated. This is a true thriller from beginning to end. A Killer Revisited from author Sherry Chapman, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Now available wherever books are sold. Who okayed this? The Riveting Life of Grant Davis. The author is using a pseudonym because there have been several attempts made on his life. The first was on a chilly gray morning on December 17th in the winter of 2012. He received a collect call from Sing Sing from an individual stating that he was going to kill him and that he won't see it coming. In the several months since, in the early morning hours when fear gets the best of him, and this happens all the time, like clockwork ticking in the back of his mind, wondering if one day, if his life would be taken away from him, and if that horrible ticking that keeps haunting him would ever stop. Scared, alone, and afraid because his life was in danger, he began writing. But in the summer of 2013, his life changed forever. He woke up in the hospital in agony from being crushed between two cars. Wearing a Philadelphia collar around his neck, steel wrist splints on both wrists, a cast from his right knee down to his toes, and left confined to a scooter for mobility. He knew then that his life would never be the same again. At this point, desperate to reveal his story before the possibility of his ultimate demise, since he didn't have the use of his hands, he began frantically dictating to his computer, and this evolved into the foundational platform for this book, based on true events. Who okayed this? The Riveting Life of Grant Davis. Available everywhere books are sold. Visit phillipebarrington.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support, and it's very much appreciated. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode, and there's many perks that come along with that. And our top Patreon supporters, one of the perks they receive is they get a live on-air shout-out thank you on each and every episode. The names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Nick, Rick, Pamela, Rich. Rich was with us on one of our listener cruises. Paul, D, and Jacklyn. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support of the show. So yesterday, Megyn Kelly on her podcast, which is pretty good. I like Megyn Kelly's podcast.
She's good on a podcast.
She's very good with interviews.
She is.
And she had on the alleged victim of Don Lemon.
Oh,
and
I got to watch that one.
And it was pretty good.
She's got good guests.
And Don Lemon,
oh boy,
who is in the news business, doesn't like news about him. Don Lemon,
he can dish it out, but he can't take it.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Don Lemon sends legal letter to Megyn Kelly is the headline. The letter accuses Megyn Kelly of allowing listeners to be fed a lopsided and inaccurate story about what occurred between him and this accuser.
Kind of what he does every night.
Megyn Kelly had been put on legal notice by Don Lemon after the conservative talk show host invited Dustin Heiss, H-I-C-E, a man who made sexual harassment allegations against Don Lemon on her Sirius XM radio show. And in the letter from Don Lemon, he says this: you permitted Mr. Heiss's statements to go unchallenged during your broadcast because he's such a fair and balanced journalist.
Exactly.
Don Lemon. Clearly out of a vendetta you have against Mr. Lemon, read a letter from Don Lemon's attorney. The letter also accused Megyn Kelly of allowing listeners to be fed a lopsided and inaccurate story about what occurred between the two of them. And there's a lot of details here. it's so interesting that a man who is in the news business, who makes terrible comments about President Trump and others over the years, one story comes out about him, and he goes and he gets together with a lawyer and tries to make news not happen.
Well, for 2 years, 3 years, he pushed this Russian fake narrative that was completely false. They've proven it's false. They just arrested somebody for lying about it, but he had no problems going on TV night after night accusing Trump of being a Russian operative and being a spy and working with Putin and doing all these things and working with him about to get elected and all this stuff, even though none of that was true. So Megyn Kelly should say, fine, come on my show and I'll give you equal time and I'll interview you and you can tell your story.
Yeah.
He obviously can't take it. I love to see the tables turned on these people because all they do every day is destroy people's lives and lie. They don't care who they hurt, and they laugh about it, and they go on their vacations in Palm Beach without a mask, wherever and then rip Ron DeSantis for killing people. He's a big hypocrite. That's the nicest thing I could say about him on the air.
Don Lemon,
he's a jerk.
What he could do is he could say to Megyn Kelly, "Hey, I want to come on your show and tell you what really happened." As opposed to hiding behind this lawyer and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Go do that. And I'd be impressed by that if he went into the Lions.
And that's only going to make her double down even more. She's not going to be afraid of that because she has a right to interview whoever the hell she wants on her show.
I'm not going to give any details about what I'm going to reference right now. You guys can all wonder in your dirty minds what it is. But I had someone make some accusations against me. And they called in on.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't Kathy. Wasn't Kathy. They called me on the air at the radio station and wanted to make a bunch of accusations against me. And I said, and there were some other things involved. I'm not going to tell you guys what it was. None of it was true. But my reaction was this. I said, I'll tell you what. Get together. It was more than one person allegedly making allegations against me. They had a group of friends that hate me. I said, get you and your friends. What day do you want to come in here on the radio show and be in the studio with me? Make your accusations to me in person with all of your friends. Come on in and we'll do it on the air. And I made that offer to them multiple times and they never took me up on it. They didn't want to face me with it. And the reason that I was so bold is because the accusations that the guy was making were false and I knew they were false.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's acting makes him look guilty.
Yeah, it does.
Because he's trying to silence somebody.
Yeah, it does.
And it's the opposite of what you did. If he was really innocent, and I don't know one way or the other whether he was or not, I really don't care. But if he's innocent, I don't think he would slap her with some kind of threat, legal threat. But let me tell you, Megyn Kelly's a lawyer. She's not stupid. And she knows the law better than Don Lemon. And when Brian says Don Lemon, he's doing it jokingly. We know his name is Don Lemon.
Yeah.
But he likes to, it's like people who say Target instead of Target, they think they're all fancy.
Where did the Don Lemon thing start? Was it President Trump?
Yeah, I think so. And then there was a video of him in Palm Beach at some fancy resort.
This was a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago by the pool with his friend. And a woman called him Don Lemon. And she was giving him a hard time.
He did not like it.
He got up and walked away. He clearly can dish it out, but he cannot take the heat for himself. Because when this woman started talking to him, and she was not very confrontational at all on the video, he immediately got up like a coward and left. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. But, CNN just hired back Jeffrey Toobin. Apparently, they don't mind having perverts on their network. So it's not going to threaten his job.
The thing with Jeffrey Toobin.
I don't get it.
Can you imagine?
No.
If Fox News had one of their on-air television personalities.
He's a lawyer.
Well, Greg Jarrett had an incident a few years ago.
Yeah, but not like this.
But if they had, Greg Jarrett's a legal analyst, but
so is Toobin. So I'm saying,
yeah. So maybe that's his. If Greg Jarrett had been masturbating in a company meeting,
oh my gosh,
on Zoom
with women,
with women in there, and towards one of the women in the meeting, probably. Do you think he'd be on TV? Do you think CNN would put up with that?
I can't believe not only that they hired him back, but I can't believe Allison Camerata introduced him and interviewed him. If I was her husband, I would be furious.
She used
with
to be
her.
on Fox, remember?
What is wrong with that woman?
Now, there's been a couple things about Newsmax this week. Newsmax TV is under attack. I love Newsmax. There's no one who's a greater supporter and promoter of Newsmax than I am. I love Newsmax.
They're good. They're good.
There's two things about Newsmax, though, I want to talk about here at the end before we say goodbye. One, there was a story over the weekend that Newsmax had brought in a mandate for their staff. And I was like very confused about that. It came out in the news over the weekend, and Newsmax released a statement at the very beginning of the week that it's not true. And that story, I don't know where it was started, but it was all over the internet over the weekend. Mm-hmm. That's an attempt to turn conservatives away from Newsmax.
Yep, it's not true.
When we get into the next presidential election season, Newsmax very well could be the number 2 or 3 cable news network in ratings, surpassing CNN and MSNBC. Passing Fox will be difficult. They're on every cable system. Newsmax is not. Mm-hmm. But they're going to be a huge powerhouse.
There's probably a rumor started by Fox.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. No. And, so when you hear negative stories about Newsmax, check them out a little bit and just be cool and wait for Newsmax to respond. And they were pretty quick on that one, that the mandate story was completely fake news, probably put out by the competition. The other one is Emerald Robinson, who was spectacular. I love Emerald Robinson. She used to be with One American News. She's the White House correspondent for Newsmax. She has been permanently suspended from Twitter.
This is crazy.
Over some comments. I'm going to get into the comments here. She was put kind of like on desk duty off air at Newsmax. I don't know if she's back on the air at Newsmax, but Greg Kelly of Newsmax tweeted today. He says, I object to big tech Twitter permanently shutting down Emerald Robinson's account. Bad move. Her voice is important. Emerald Robinson is a very, very good White House reporter. She asks the tough questions. She's very controversial. Mm-hmm. She's obviously conservative. But the liberals, when I knew Emerald Robinson a year ago was going to eventually get knocked off social media because she's too good. And and a lot of times when someone like Emerald Robinson or Laura Loomer, people like this, or Milo, right? They become major conservative influencers, and then all of a sudden they start to get banished from this, banished from that.
I'm sure she's on Getter.
I'm sure she'll be on President Trump's new social media platform.
Yes, when is that coming out?
Beginning of the year. Yeah. Truth Social.
That'll be good.
I'm sure she'll be on there. But right now, these lefty organizations have a monopoly, and I really truly hope that President Trump's platform is true competition, because President Trump
will be.
Yeah, Truth Social is his social media platform. He as well. It's not a place just for MAGA. He wants everybody there to have a dialogue going, and I'm sure that'll happen. And I really truly hope it will be competition. People think that Twitter and Facebook are unbeatable, that they're too big. That's not the case. Look at GM, too big to fail, and they're third rate now. And
I think Trump's goal is to take Twitter down. I don't think he wants to work next to Twitter. I think he wants to destroy Twitter. I think he wants to destroy that platform completely and have everybody go to his platform and have that shift where nobody's on Twitter. That's, I think, his goal. He is on a mission. Trump has an enemies list, and Twitter's probably on that list. He is on a mission to take down the people that, in his mind, betrayed him. And that is what he's working on. His mind is always going. I think he's even thinking of ideas in his sleep.
It can happen. Remember MySpace?
Yep.
And look at that. Facebook took down MySpace.
There's always something. What he needs
Twitter
to do,
took over from Facebook's monopoly.
He needs to make the platform user-friendly like Twitter, but better somehow, and just more accepting, and just make it a better option for people. It's certainly going to bring MAGA there, which is 80 million strong, and maybe even more now after all this Biden stuff. MAGA could be 100 million strong now. So he's automatically could have the third of the country there, and liberals will go there. They can't stay away.
No,
they can't. It's like moths to the flame.
No, they can't.
They can't stay away from Trump. They'll all be on there trolling everybody. So I think it's going to do very well.
Absolutely. Now, listen, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Attention California residents. If you're looking for a loan, you need to contact Farzad Bavand at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. Farzad is a licensed mortgage loan officer based out of Sacramento, California. He can also get you the lowest mortgage rates. He has access to over 50 wholesale lenders. He can close in under 3 weeks. People are moving these days. You need a loan officer that can move as fast and as efficiently as you can. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram at FBAVAND.PACWM.com or call Farzad Bavand at 925-577-1138. 925-577-1138.